All right, we're going to be doing the fabazon project for this is the problem that we have here. You can see that we have an original cost, and then we have three different markups. So we have a standard markup, a 200, which is 100%, then 200%, and then 300%, and then 500%. So I guess we have four markups. And then they want to see this at the very end. So we need to go ahead and do a problem statement. So here I've copied everything over here. And I've done some work ahead of time that you should be able to do by now by yourself. And that is, I copy these here. This is what they wanted. Paste it down here, and then cameled original cost, the markup amount, and then the final price. Original cost, someone has to tell us, so I copied that up to our inputs. And final price and markup amount, I have to do math. So I copied that, pasted it here, put equal signs on the outstone, and thought and figured, starting with the final price, if I know what the original cost is and I know what the markup amount is, if I just add those two together, boom, I have my final price. Well, how do I figure out my markup amount? Markup amount is simply the original cost times the markup rate. And we have these markup rates. So now we have to use logic to get everything else done. So we can see that the high price one here is the highest markup. So we want to test for the highest markup first. So we're going to say that if the original cost is greater than the high price cutoff, that $5,000, then what we're going to be looking for is the markup rate. So this is a little bit different than we did before, but not really. We've done this before with 0, but not like this. So the markup rate is always going to be 1, except when it's not. So we're going to start the markup rate as 1 and then change it if there's a higher markup required. So this is going to be the high price rate. So the high price rate is 5. So we're going to change the 1 to a 5 in this case. All right, well, what happens if that's not true? Well, else if the next one is going to be crazy rich. So we're going to say that if crazy rich equals yes, then the markup rate is going to be equal to the crazy rich rate. All right, so where am I going to find the crazy rich? Well, I'm just going to have to ask somebody, is that customer crazy rich? And they will know from a list of people who those crazy rich are. So it's going to be crazy rich, yes, whoops, or no. All right, and then we have our next one. And if it's not crazy rich, that's going to be else. Let's see if the customer's zip code makes a higher markup. So we're going to have to say opulent zip equals yes. And another problem, we might have a list of zip codes and then we'd have to go looking through those. But for now, we're just going to be asking the human, and the human is going to say, yes, that is they're living in the zip code for markup rate in the opulent section. And that's going to be the zip code rate. All right, so the next, again, we have to ask someone about the opulent zip. So again, I'll go ahead and copy this, Control C, Control V, and then finish it up. Yes, well, I didn't finish up the other one, so, or no. Yeah, let's put a no here. Okay, so that was pretty quick. This one is not quite as complex as the other one. It doesn't have a second if statement, but I don't have to make each one so complicated that it's going to take forever for you to work your way through. And I think it's probably a good idea to have ones like these that aren't so bad. Now, when we flowchart this, the flowchart is going to look different than this because, again, um, if it's not true that the original cost is that, then we have to figure out Rage Crazy Rich. But if it's a $10,000 order, I shouldn't be asking these two questions because there's no point in it. They've already created the highest markup. There's no sense in asking these questions. We put them here because we want to go through our user and say, all right, these are the questions I need to ask. And if the answer to these are yes or no, will this work here? So I'm just gathering all the information with my problem statement. When I get my flow chart, we're going to be moving these two inputs down into our calculations logic section because it makes sense there. And again, don't start moving your inputs all over your code for the heck of it. You only want to do it when it makes sense. And it makes sense that these two should not be asked until after this one right here is false. All right, so let's go ahead and do the flow chart.